Hello, you are most welcome to my podcast in English number 11, which I'm recording on the 12th of September 2019. Today I'm going to talk about a couple of learning and teaching experiences I've had since last time we spoke, a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to be able to show you the sample of the paving stove because I've received it since last time. I'm also going to talk about a new kit for a pattern by Eclat du Soleil, which is also the designer of this pattern, and a little bit about upcoming things. So if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. If this is the first time that you are watching one of my videos, my name is Annette Patavi. I am a Swedish crochet teacher and designer living just outside the city of Lyon in France. I have a website also where I sell my own patterns and patterns from other independent designers, as well as selected yarns. You can find the link to my website in the description below, where you can also find links to the other places where you can find me, like Facebook and Instagram. And since we are here on YouTube, if you enjoyed the video, do not hesitate to subscribe to the channel. You can click the little bell to get notified every time I put up a video. And you can also make a thumbs up because that helps the algorithm and helps other people to find podcasts and also my video tutorials, which are here in the very same channel. As I said, we're on the 12th of September. It's a very warm and sunny day here in France. I put a summer dress back on. I had this weekend I wore jeans. We had a kind of a cold or cool spell here, but now it's the temperatures are going up, and this weekend it's going to be like 27 degrees Celsius. So that's really a warm summer day. The evenings and nights are still cool because we are in September. So we're kind of in summer in the daytime and in autumn in the evenings and during the nights and also in the early mornings. And this is a time of years where I always think to myself, I should make some leg warmers because, and perhaps arm warmers too. I mean, all this stuff that you can just pull on and then take off when things warm up later in the day. I don't think this is the year which is actually going to see me make some, but that's another topic. Since last time, I think I touched upon this topic last time too, but if I didn't, so I organized a crochet along here in France for French-speaking people mainly, because it's a bit hard to moderate a Facebook group in both English and French. So I did this only in French, but I wanted to show you some of the results. So the crochet along is over, except for the people making the trio blanket that you can see my moderate or modest progress over there. So I made a price drawing, and I've yet to send up the prices actually, because this has been a kind of a weird week. But I wanted to show you some of the photos shared by the participants. So I have to look at my notes. I'm going to put the photo right over the screen because it's the best way for you to see it, because I realized when I put up small pictures here, you can't really see the details. So let's do it this way this time. So one of the patterns, so the rules for the cowl for the crochet along were to crochet a pattern from my web shop by me or another or someone else of the designers I represent, and do it using the yarn Whirl, which is a yarn that I sell in my web shop, and most people participating bought the yarn from me as well, even if that was not at all compulsory. And so one of the patterns that was much used in this crochet along, even by people I haven't finished yet, was my new stove, Marie Galante, that I published just before summer. This was also one of the patterns that sparked the idea for this crochet along. And we have, I wanted to show you 3 of the pictures I've gotten from finished projects before the 2nd of September. So here we have one from Val, I think it's Valérie, and she chose to use the same colorway as I did, the Turkish Delight. I really love this picture, and it's very difficult to take this kind of long stove in to take a good picture of it where you can see it entirely. I think this idea to have it folded over on the chair is really a great one. We also have the Marie Galante from Josiane, who also staged her stole in a quite lovely way. And the colorway used here is the green tea tipple. And then we have Marielle, who did the same pattern, but of course in a different colorway. This is the Licorice Yum Yum colorway, going from black to white. The white is kind of fading away here in the backgrounds, but this is a very sober, how to say sober? No, that's French. A very simple yet sophisticated colorway. But we had other patterns in this too, and one of them were Bluebird by Éclat du Soleil. This is the one by Josette. She used the colorway Green Tea Tipple, so the same one as Josiane, who has very similar first name, used for Marie Galante. And here we see Bluebird hanging on a clothes line, which is also an interesting way of taking a picture. And you can actually block your shawls this way. Many people I know do this. And Josette was a bit worried because her border was like a ruffle, but actually this is because she straightened up the upper edge to a horizontal line. Because as we can see in this next picture showing the Bluebird by Renee, in the colorway Watermelon Hellraiser, if you let the edge curve up, the border lies very well into place, and this is actually what happens when you wear it around your shoulders. There are many other patterns used as well. I wanted to showcase a last one. It's the Popeye shawl, also by Éclat du Soleil, and it's Aurélie who made it in Coral Catastrophe. So this is as far from a catastrophe as you can come, of course, but Aurélie enlarged the pattern quite a bit. I think she added 3, if I counted correctly on her picture, she added 3 vertical repeats. So from 12 in the pattern to 15. And she actually ordered a second ball of yarn because she couldn't finish with the 1000 meters in one ball. So perhaps if you want to try this beautiful pattern out in this yarn, perhaps stop at 13 or 14 repeats, because really those last rows on a very large shawl, they really do, they really do add up. I have to have a drink. Sorry, my voice is a bit scratchy. I caught some kind of cold at the beginning of the week, and I'm not really feeling ill, but the voice doesn't really follow along when I want to speak. So that was the summer cal that I did for French-speaking customers. It was really nice, and I hope you got some inspiration from the photos. I was talking about what I've learned or what I've taught these past few weeks, and I think I have to. No, it's over here. Excuse me. I thought I brought everything out, and I did. So now, just for a few seconds, we are not going to talk about crochet, we're going to talk about embroidery, because embroidery is one of the things I do when I want to make something with textiles that's not work, so not crochet or knitting. And last week, I took a day off to go and take a class with my embroidery teacher, a lady called Mireille. And the idea from her classes is that you come and you do whatever you want, or something that you have already started. And I had started, I'd taken a class with the French embroidery artist Julie Sarlout, a one-day class to embroider a heart, but not a stylized heart, but an organic, biological heart. And I hadn't finished during that day, and I took this class with Mireille to finish it. So here it is. As you can see, it's quite colorful and perhaps not anatomically, that was the word I was looking for. It's an anatomical heart. Okay, you know that better than I. And it was a lot of fun to make this. This requires absolutely no embroidery knowledge, I'd say. But the coaching by Julie Sarlout and then Mireille for the finishing was absolutely crucial. I couldn't have done this without their help. And of course, the initial inspiration idea and the technique comes from Julie. So I suggest you check out her work. She works a lot from photographs. It's very colorful. She works a lot on eyes, on faces. She's inspired by pop culture, and her work is definitely worth checking out. I'll put links if I find her Facebook, otherwise to her website, otherwise to her Facebook and Instagram, where she posts very regularly. So you can check that out. She's very inspiring as well as a person. But of course, if you're not here, she's from Paris. If you're not in France, it's hard to meet her. But you can always view her beautiful work. And I think she also has an Etsy shop. I'll check that out, and I'll link to everything in the description below. And the other learning project I've started, but only just started, is actually a crochet project. Because it's not because I've been working in crochet for nearly 2 decades that I have nothing to learn. And this is why I have started participating in at least following the crochet along wrapped in Jamie, which is by an Australian crochet designer. I'll put the links, of course, in the description. And I haven't come very far. I like time. I need to find a way to build in more time to make things during my days. But this is the start of the first square. So this is going to become perhaps a blanket or a cushion if I don't follow through. But as you can see, this is, even if the yarn is a bit dark, but this is the type of very textured crochet using, I'd say, a combination of post stitches, overlay, and other ways to bring out. It's really 3D, even if it's worked flat. And I find this very interesting. I have not worked a lot of projects in this technique. And when this came by, I think in my Facebook feed or something, I thought this is a great idea. I will link to the cow. You can follow this by using the free pattern on Petra, I think is the name of the designer on Petra's blog. I prefer to purchase her pattern. It's for various each square there is a pay for pattern. It's a very low price, and I think it's a nice way to support a fellow designer. The yarn for this is total mystery yarn. I bought this in a French shop, I think in Strasbourg, and I moved from Strasbourg 12 years ago. Yeah, 12 this year. So it's a yarn from the brand Bergère de France, which is a well-known brand here in France, and I think in other countries as well, because they export at least some of their yarns and patterns. But this is totally mystery yarn. I bought this on sale, 10 balls in a bag, and I haven't been able to find any documentation on this online. I think it was a one-off. So it says here that it's 70% wool, 30% polyamide, and approximately 50 grams. And that's all the information there is on this ball bag. So based on my visual idea of the thickness of the yarn, I started swatching with a 4.5 millimeter hook. Now I'm working in a 50, no, not that thick, with a 5 millimeter hook. It's still rather hefty, but I think I couldn't go up further if I want a cohesive fabric for a blanket. It's super scratchy. I could never wear this as a garment, but I think for a blanket it can work fine. And I have to think about borders as well, because this square will need a border, and I want to make that in a contrasting color. So once I've tried out my ideas, I'll get back to you and discuss that. But it's a fun project. It does really require some concentration. I usually crochet or knit while watching TV or listening to an audiobook, not TV so much, but watching videos or a series, or listening to an audiobook or a podcast. This only crochet. But it's very fun, and it's I think to me it's a lovely way to explore this technique that I know so little about, while being guided by a wonderful designer. So that's great. And I talked about learning and teaching, and I've also taught a class this past weekend. A 2-day class on mosaic crochet, and with the attendance, it was 2-part class actually. First, they learned the two basic techniques of mosaic crochet. So the first one is this 2-row technique. I've treated this topic, as you know, if you watched me before, in my newsletter during the spring. So this is the 2-row technique, where you work only with one color in each row, but you skip stitches and then you cover the spaces where you skip stitches with stitches in the following rows. And the second technique the attendants learned was this 1-row mosaic crochet technique, where actually the design is done by overlaying longer stitches into over the stitches of previous rows. And this is worked in single crochet back loop only, so you have the loops left on the surface of your fabric, so you can attach the double crochets that make the pattern. So first we learned both of these techniques, and then I asked them to design a motif and use it in a small project. So I'm going to overlay a couple of pictures here too. Actually, the project all attendants chose to make was a small pouch, and in this picture you can see to the right how the attendant is embroidering a chain stitch on a zipper. And this is a technique I learned in a pattern from Tina Hekel, who is an Icelandic designer working a lot in mosaic crochet. Excuse me. Tina is Icelandic. I call her Tina Hekel, which is her Instagram handle, because I can never remember her Icelandic name. I'm sorry, I'm Swedish. I should be able to, but it's very long and difficult to remember. But I will link to her Ravelry page and to the specific pattern of the pouches, because I only use this idea of embroidering directly on the zipper, which is a genius idea. Thank you so much, Tina. And crocheting into this embroidered chain, so you don't have to sew in the zipper afterwards. So actually you're working top down, and the zipper is automatically attached to your little pouch, and you work in the round, so everything you have to do at the end is close the bottom of your pouch in one way or the other. Also, so this was a way to apply for my pupils to apply what I've learned, but I also asked them to design their own stitch pattern. And in this picture, it's a flower design. In mosaic crochet, we often see geometrical designs because the constraints of the technique make that's what comes most easily to mind. Here, the person designing this stitch pattern based it very loosely on a pattern for a stranded knitted design of a flower, and then of course adapted it to mosaic crochet, because you cannot use a pattern for stranded knitting in mosaic crochet. You have to respect a couple of rules to make it work. And I'm going to overlay another picture, which is a robot in the making. This was a lot of fun. Here, I think the person just used some kind of pixelated image from the internet with a robot, and then she adapted it to mosaic crochet. So that was really a lot of fun, and I think my attendants were happy as well. Okay, so that's for the teaching and learning. And now I have the immense pleasure to show you the actual sample of the paving stove that I talked about last week. No, 2 weeks ago in the last episode. Since then, my friend Hélène Soleil, the designer of this pattern, have sent me the actual sample. I'm going to take it off because it will be easier. So this is a long scarf or stole, so you can wear it several times around your neck. It's just so lovely and soft. I want to show you how delicate it is, but still it's 100% merino wool, so it's warm and lovely to wear. It's really luscious, so soft. Let's see if we can zoom on the edging with the crocheted fringe. Can we have some more focus on there? Perhaps not. Let's see. Well, no, camera's not cooperating a lot today. But so if you're curious about how to make this crocheted fringe, there is a tutorial right on this very same channel that shows you how to do it. And this is a wonderful pattern. Of course, it's a very fine yarn worked with a small hook, but I think it's 2.5 millimeters, so it's not that small. And you get this beautiful, beautiful sheer result. It's really magnificent. I'm going to put it back on because I love it so much. And I just wanted to, oops, show you again. Oh, let's not try to choke on this. Show you again the colors currently available in this yarn. So this is the charcoal, which is the one used in the sample. We also have a light gray, which is really nice as well. So these two are slightly heathered. And then we have a solid, vivid fuchsia. All lovely stuff to make your own paving stove. I'll put a link, of course, in the description. So nice. And on the topic of éclat du soleil, I'm sorry, but I really have a kind of sore throat and being a bit hoarse today, so lots of tea. So on the topic of éclat du soleil and her designs, I talked previously about the bluebird pattern that was used by several participants in the summer crochet along, where they worked this pattern with a yarn whirl, which is a cotton acrylic yarn in a gradient. Originally, this pattern, I'm going to overlay a picture here, was designed for mohair yarn. And at the time I published it, because it has been in the web shop for some time now, I had no mohair yarn that I really, really liked, because I've been looking for several years to find a mohair and silk yarn that I really love, and now I found it. So the colors are of course different, but I now suggest, I have on my website a kit to make this scarf, sorry, shawl, because this is definitely a shawl. So it's a kit. I like to make a kit specifically, of course, to combine colors, but also specifically when the amount of yarn needed means that you would have to buy an entire ball to make a small part. And this is the case of the stripes in this pattern. So the color combinations I suggest in this kit, so of course in the kit you have a partial ball to finish your stripes. So I suggest perhaps the cloudy gray with a warm yellow, and of course gray works with almost everything. It works so well with a hot pink. And if you want a more classical look, it also works really, really well with the red. In this one, I suggest either with gray as the main color and red in the stripes, or with red as the main color and gray in the stripes. And I also made a couple of combinations with this beautiful, beautiful blackcurrant shade. So you can combine this with a hot pink for the stripe. That's really nice. Or with this golden yellow. So actually, the only objection I have to the very fine work of J.K. Rowling is that whenever I suggest this combination now, people say, oh yeah, Gryffindor. But it's beautiful in itself. So whether you're a Harry Potter fan or not, blackcurrant and sunny yellow, not a bad combination. So that's about what I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to mention, if I find the paper I wanted to show you, an upcoming event. Is it on the floor? No. Just a sec, I'll go and get it. I'm back. It was here all along, hiding under other papers and yarn and stuff. So at the end of November, I'm going to Paris. And of course, this is not the only time I've been to Paris. Paris is like 2 hours train travel from Lyon. So sometimes I go to Paris for the day if there's something specific I want to do there. And I've also done a show in Paris, a small one, a few years ago. But I don't do as an exhibitor the big shows in Paris because they're really huge shows. They cost a lot, and I don't want that kind of pressure. That's all. But since you're watching the English video, probably you're not in France. But if you are, maybe you're in Paris, and maybe you're planning to go to Paris. And if you're going to Paris at the end of November, I'm going to be there from the 20th to the 24th. So this is actually a pop-up store. I've rented a store with 3 friends. 2 of them are artists, and we're 2, I'd say, artisans who are also selling materials for making. So I'm doing this with my friend Katrina, who sells materials for luxury embroidery. I will be there selling materials and kits and patterns for crochet and knit projects. And Isabelle is going to be there with her drawings and her ceramics. And my friend Olivia is going to be there with her finished items, which are crocheted insects, jellyfish, flies, that's an insect, perhaps a few of her radishes as well. Just I'll link to all these people below. Go and check out their work. It's stunning. That's it for today. Have a wonderful time. I'll be back talking to you in a couple of weeks. Bye bye.